No.
You are live. Hello.
No problem. రాకుండా Good morning, sir.
Yes, speak, sir.
Simon, పెద్దది లేదా
Joji. Mike పెట్టలేదా? Joji మైక్ పెట్టమ్మా.
Simon, ఇట్లాంటి లేదా సైడ్ నుంచి
ఈ సౌండ్ అనేది రియల్ క్లారిటీ ఉండదు దీనికి క్యాపిటల్ అంత సౌండ్ క్లారిటీ ఉండదు అంతే సౌండ్ ఇస్ నాట్ క్లారిటీ ఇది కరెక్ట్ చేయాలి సౌండ్ నా వీడియో ఎంత క్లారిటీ ఉంది డైరెక్ట్
ఇది ఉందని
దగ్గర ఏం లేదు వెతికి అదే లేవు అది లేదు అది ఉంటే ఇలా పెట్టవచ్చు దీన్ని పెట్టుకోవచ్చు ఆస్తున్నారు తిరుగుతున్నారు ఉంది
Good morning, my Lord the Bishop, and all my priestly friends, and I welcome you all to this recollection from Christmas in the evening. Especially, we have Reverend Father Alex Raju from the Archdiocese of Hyderabad. He is a priest of 32 years, and presently is working as the parish priest of Begumpet, and also is advocate, is practicing his law in the High Court. And is also very much helpful to the poor people in taking up the cases, property cases, and also the other legal cases, and helping them out, the Archdiocese of Hyderabad, and also the other cases from different dioceses. So he's also helping in tribunal, marriage tribunal for the diocese also. So let us welcome him on behalf of the diocese, and let us clap for him. Father, thank you very much for accepting, and welcome to the diocese, and I request Father to start with the hymn to the Holy Spirit. Let's all start.
As we stand, I like to take a short reading of Samuel's call. 1 Samuel chapter 3. I read only the last part. The Lord called Samuel again a third time, and he got up and went to Eli and said, "Here I am, for you have called me." Then Eli perceived that the Lord was calling the boy. Therefore, Eli said to Samuel, "Go lie down, and if the call comes, you shall say, 'Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening.'" So Samuel went and lay down in his place. Now the Lord came and stood calling as before, "Samuel, Samuel." And Samuel said, "Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening." Then the Lord said to Samuel, "See, I am about to do something in Israel that will make both ears of anyone who hears of tingle. On that day I will fulfill against Eli all that I had spoken concerning his house, and beginning to the end." The word of the Lord. I'd like to thank Most Reverend Recollection for inviting me for the recollection as you are preparing for the beautiful day of your Christmas Mass. And I'm sure the Christmas Mass is one beautiful celebration in the Catholic Church where you and I renew our promises. And therefore, it is not only that, it is also the ministry. And therefore, I will also lead you accordingly to what I like to tell you here today for your recollection. Well, my dear friends, this is my second time I'm coming to Oregon Isis for a recollection, and this time it is for a Christmas celebration. consecrated by circumstance and need. We should know this part. Consecrated by circumstance and need. We understand certain things consecrated, that is taken out from the profane world and set apart for sacred services, holy services. For example, let us take a building, the churches, persons, priests, deacons, monks, nuns, they are all consecrated. Tables, altars are consecrated. Cups, let it be chalices. Clothing, our vestments, our religious habits are all consecrated ones. There is something important in that. There is some merit in that. But the danger is that we tend to see consecrated as a cultic and metaphysical statements of separation. Metaphysical separation rather than setting apart for service. This is one important aspect that we have to see in our consecration. That is why I like to take it to Moses' case. When Moses was called to go to Pharaoh and ask the people of Israel to be set free, the Israelites to be set free, Moses objects. He clearly objects and he says, why me? Why not my brother? Why he has told that is because his brother was better than Moses. And therefore he said, my brother is better. He has good leadership skills. And I don't want to do this. Why me? That was Moses' stand. God answered his objections to Moses. And he said, because you have seen the people suffering. So now we know you have seen the people suffering. It's that simple for God. That we see people suffering. God tells Moses that he may not walk away because he has seen people suffering. For that reason, he consecrated this Moses, the one who can now freely walk and set the Israelites free. Therefore, the circumstances and the need has consecrated him. The circumstances is that the people, Israel, were suffering in the hands of Pharaoh. And that we have to keep in mind when you and I are consecrated, anointed one. That we need to know that it is because of the circumstance and the need that each one of us is called. Our very nation of our country, you should know that we are living in a country where this is a foreign faith. Therefore, we look at Pharaoh, who didn't like Yahweh. And that is why the circumstance and the need was to set the people free. And you and I are chosen to become something like that. And the very notion of church on this concept is to show that the ecclesia, what is ecclesia? Ek means, the word ek is out of. So the word ek means out of. And kaleo means to be called. Therefore, each one of us called out of. I am called out of to be something not normal, but as instructed in the baptism, we know that we are priest, prophet, and king. But when it comes to our ordination, we are consecrated. Well, today, my dear fathers, consecration has lost its rich meaning because we have regulated the word to the sacristy and overloaded it with connotations of purity and cult. Therefore, the main meaning of consecration is slowly liquidated. That's unfortunate because both what is best in our humanity and in our faith are forever trying to consecrate either me or David or altar. We are trying to consecrate. That is why the needs and the wounds of our world are constantly asking us to suspend our radical freedom, the radical freedom that I have, to set aside our own agenda in order to serve. So, I have agenda for myself, but I am asked to set aside that agenda and bring in the service part in my life. That is how I will look at consecration. When we're speaking about consecration, we know very well that we are set apart, called out of, which means there is a lot of demand that is expected from each one of us. It's not only your bishop that demands, your people demand more out of you. We are known as public figures even though we are consecrated. And when we are public figures, all eyes are upon us. And when all eyes are upon us, then we have to be doubly cautious. Who are our people? Our people are none other than our mirror. You look at your people, you must see your face in them. It is then only you will know that you who has been consecrated can identify yourself in your people. That is why I will go to the next important aspect is that moving beyond bad habits as priests. I'm going to take you immediately to moving beyond bad habits as priests. Why? Because today, everybody says we are all bad. Today, everybody says we are all bad priests. Well, then they are the good priests. Well, let us move beyond bad habits of priests. So how do we change? That is important. How do we move beyond deeply engraved into certain habits of our life? That is also necessary, that I have to move from my deeply engraved into those bad habits. John of the Cross, the Spanish mystic, suggests one beautiful theory, that is trying to set the instinct that lies behind your bad habit in a higher love. What is that higher love? Well, what does that mean? He says very clearly, try to set your instinct behind that higher love. So what is that? We begin to set an instinct behind all bad habits. Let it be any bad habit. We have to set an instinct behind all bad habits into that higher love by asking ourselves the question, why? Why means, ultimately, am I drawing this way? Why ultimately am I feeling the vagueness or the vengeance or the pettiness, the anger, the lust, the laziness, the need to eat more and be satisfied, to drink excess in what ultimately is prosperity that is rooted in us. So I have to see that if my bad habits are there, I have to set in all these bad habits an instinct to a higher love. We have love for it, but a higher love for something that can really bring about a change and look beyond the bad habits. The answer might surprise. Invariably, my dear friends, the deepest rooted, underlining the proximity for a bad habit is love. So when we are asking you, and I am asking you, you must set an instinct of a higher love. The main thing is again, undergirding the proximity for a bad habit is love. The instinct is almost always rooted in love. Just analyze your daydreams. You daydream, you look at the ceiling and be dreaming, you look at some object and you be dreaming. All these are quite common. They are not normal. They sometimes are noble. They sometimes are good. They are sometimes are big-hearted and also loving. Even though actually in our lives sometimes petty, bitter, selfish, self-indulgent and nursing various addiction also comes into force. We have these bad attitudes and habits not because we aren't motivated by love. So now when I spoke about you should have an instinct for higher love, now I am also saying that these attitudes and these bad habits, not because we aren't motivated in love. Actually, at this particular place, our love is disordered, our love is wounded, our love is bitter, our love may be indisciplined, our love may be self-centered, and that is the reason why we have these bad habits in our lives. So we must know why these bad habits. Why should I take into consideration all my bad habits? The bad habits is because our love is disordered. It may be because of abuse in me. It may be because somebody has hurt me. It may be because the love is disordered in me. I have these bad habits coming into my life. But it is still, again, love. What is that? The best of all energy is love. The very fire of the image and the likeness of God is love. And therefore, I need to put that instinct of love to remove all my bad habits. When we speak about this, I know now what it means to sin because I am loved. Many of us, I have experienced this in my life as well, that I commit a sin because of my bad habits. And I just overlook about it. It doesn't affect me as a priest. My conscience slowly dies. Always remember the conscience does not die overnight. It only slowly dies by constantly doing that same thing again and again. Therefore, I know now that it means what it means when I sin, because I am loved. So if you are loved, you won't be a betrayer, which means you also should know that God loves you because you have chosen this life. God has chosen you and therefore He loves you. If you acknowledge this fully in your life, then only you will realize I'm betraying Him. I'm having all these bad habits and I'm totally betraying Him. When I did not know love and had no way of sensing God in me, whatever I do is not going to affect me. Because I'm not sensing God at all in my life. I'm not sensing God at all in my priesthood. I'm not sensing God at all in my pastoral ministry. Therefore, when I sense God, then my bad habits can be taken up by a higher love because I am God's image, and that is how the way that I believe now is I did many wrong things and I now know I have sinned. If I had not known my God, I did many wrong things, but I didn't at all sin, is what you will justify. And this is very common in my priesthood, that I have gone through this situation, that I was not being loved by God for various reasons. I was not visualizing that God is loving me in my priesthood. And therefore, whatever I do, I'm not God and I can justify myself. I can become self-righteous. But once I realize that this is this God who has called me, this is this God who has chosen me, this is this God who is ready to forgive me so many times, shows that I now realize that I am betraying in all my bad habits. That is why I have taken the passage from the book of Samuel. Well, it is about the Samuel's call. The church needs true and holy priests and true and holy shepherds. That is underlined everywhere in the Catholic Church. During Samuel's time, when Samuel was in a temple with Eli, it was that long period of dormancy. Dormancy because God was not doing anything great there. Why? Because of Eli, who was the priest of Shalom. He was not good at all. He was not good in bringing up his own sons. Being a priest, he was not good in bringing up his own sons. And therefore, his sons were corrupt. During that time, Samuel was serving in the temple, and the revelations of God that was taking place became uncommon. Nothing great was happening. Therefore, the Lord had to do something. What was happening during the time of Eli and his sons? The people were suffering. Because there was no revelation, there was dormancy of God's revelation taking place, and that is why the people of Israel were suffering. And when they were suffering, what was it so? It was because God now has to chastise the people. Now, He doesn't need to chastise the people of Israel. He needs to chastise Eli and his sons. And they were not ready to listen. And that is why we see perhaps the laziness, the inactiveness, the dormancy was there and God's revelation did not take place. The sons of Eli were lazy, corrupt. They were unfocused, even though they were sons of priests. And Lord Yahweh says, I will bring punishment to Eli and his sons. And we know what happened to Eli and his sons in the next chapter, that both the sons died. And when both the sons died, Eli shocked back and forth, fell down, broke his neck, and he died. Well, how to sum up all this? We have priests all over the world. I'm not just telling India or our diocese or any diocese. All over the world, we have priests who are abusing the office of Christ and causing suffering not to themselves, causing suffering to the people of God. Just like how it was at the time of Eli and his sons. And we get blamed because of few such priests. And we have to put our face like an ostrich in the sand. Not able to answer sometimes. Not able to also counter somebody who's questioning me about priesthood. Why? Because of you, we have to put our face down. For what reason? Because of this, people are suffering. Therefore we see, because Eli and his sons and the people of Israel suffered, finally the predators are handed away. Handed to whom? They were handed to the enemies. So look at this part, that Eli and his sons were handed over to the enemies. And who are those? They are enemies of Yahweh. And will not Yahweh fight against? No. Now Yahweh allows. That is important for us to know. Why Yahweh allows this? Because he said, I'll punish Eli and his sons. Do we have the same situation today in our priesthood? Yes, we have the same situation. The reason is that the church is deeply sick. The church is deeply wounded. The church is deeply injured. And we are working in such a church today. Therefore, we need to organize ourselves and open our eyes before God opens his eyes. When such things happen to the church which we are serving, we think this period when the church is deeply sick or deeply injured, deeply wounded, we think that the Lord is absent. God is quiet about it. And the Lord is not opening his eyes and seeing the various bad corruptions taking place in the world or in the church. And sometimes as a good priest, you will say, what is this? I don't know why this is happening in the church. Why can't God open his eyes and punish them like Eli and his sons? Well, we look that way. But God is silent about it. God is silent. Why? Because he's still not opened his eyes. If he opens his eyes, what happens is, when we wake up, we will know. And therefore, we are cautioned today in our country that we may be caught up in this situation. This is a biblical concept. What is that biblical concept? God will use his enemies to make us do his will. Remember always this in your priesthood. God will use his enemies to make us do his will. Not to punish us and kill us, no, not to murder us, but rather he will allow these enemies to come and overpower us so that we learn, we open our eyes, and then we can do his will. That is biblical concept. All through the Old Testament we find. Why are we surprised now? God uses his enemies for us to do his will. In our country we see the atrocities and the persecutions taking place. Why again? Again we will say, yes, he wants to cleanse the church. He wants to chastise the church. Therefore he allowed these enemies to come, attack us, so that we may open our eyes and start doing the will of God. But let us remember always this. God is often found fathering us. He's a loving father. In all such situations, God comes to each priest as a father, not punishing you. He doesn't want to open his eyes and say, you are like this. No. He wants to father you further, today and later on also. But all that he wants us to do his will. And therefore, he will allow enemies to come into the church. He will allow enemies to attack us. And we have to open our eyes and then start doing his will. As anointed priest, I may carry loads of burdens as such. When I carry such loads of burden, again Jesus comes and says, my yoke is easy. That is again the fatherly care that he has. As a priest, I have a lot of loads to carry. I know you are also carrying a lot of loads. Sometimes as priests, what we do, we take up so many responsibilities, we load a lot on our head, and we overburden ourselves. And when we are totally overburdened, we do not know where to go. As fellow priests, I too don't feel like coming and unloading your burden. You put it on your head. You have loaded all the burden in your head. You unload it. Why you are asking me? This is the indifference between priests. Why? Because I have become like this. I have loaded responsibilities. I need post, I need better post, I need better plans, I need better this one. Therefore, I load myself and I overburden myself. When I overburden myself, I can't expect someone to come and unload my burden. What I have loaded, I have to unload. Learn this always in our priestly life. Because we are talented. We do a lot of singing, preaching, reaching out, doing service, charitable works. We are very good in that. Sometimes we are caught up with that. So much so we are overburdened. And slowly what happens is the spiritual life slowly deteriorates. And then the burden is seen. I'm doing so much, nobody is bothered. I'm doing so much, nobody is appreciating. Why? Don't be a sympathy monger. Rather you learn, as an anointed priest, I am supposed to, in a way, not burden somebody, not put loads of burden on someone. Quite commonly, because I am overloaded, I will put burdens on you. And when I put burdens on you, then you start revolting on me. And then you say, what is this? You are like this. Then they see all the overburdens that I have. In my priesthood, I have overburdened myself, and therefore, people will come and say, you have put all that burden on us also. And therefore, now, you have burdened us. But learn, if you are able to unload your burden through your priestly ministries, remember, you will be a great help to unload other people's burdens as well. That is why I like to take you to the 3 levels of discipleships, because we are all disciples. The first level is this 3 levels of discipleship is written by Kasan Sati. A very beautiful and a very simple way of explaining. He says the first one is essential discipleship. What is this essential discipleship is the struggle to get our lives together to achieve basic human maturity. Basic human maturity, which itself might be defined as the capacity for essential selflessness and the capacity to put others before ourselves. That is the essential discipleship. Precisely about essential, about getting our lives together by properly channelizing our energies through discipline. The origin of word discipleship is nothing but channelizing my energies through discipline. The discipline I have gone through in my priestly ministry, before that in my seminary, and then after that, I channelize my energy. I have a lot of energy. I can do a good lot of things. As I'm preaching, I can do something else as well. But these energies should be channelized. And when it is channelized, you will enjoy the fruits of it. The second aspect is then the generative discipleship, the general discipleship. The general discipleship is a struggle to give our lives away in love. As a disciple, I am ready to give up my life in love, ready to give up my life in service, ready to give up my life in prayer. These are the 3 important aspects that we, in our generative discipleship, we learn. And that is how we know that I can become a person to love, serve, and pray for others at any cost. And the third one is the radical discipleship. The discipleship consists in the struggle to give our death away, to give our life away. That is to leave this earth in such a way that our death themselves become final gift and blessing for my parish, for my family, for my diocese, for my church, for my society. So I'm ready to do all this. I'm ready to give my life, my death, for the cause of the church, for my parish, for my community, for my society. That is why, my dear friends, looking at all these aspects and being a priest now, don't ever say that I am caught up in a priesthood. Today, many of the priests also complain we are caught up in this priesthood. I made a decision 10 years, 20 years, for me 32 years back. I am caught up in this. And if I am caught up in this, I am not going to walk away out of this sorrow. I told you this church is a wounded church, injured church, a church which has gone through so many pains, the church which is always on attack. I am not going to walk away out of sorrow. I will take you only to one beautiful example. Every word is pregnant with meaning in Luke's Gospel. When he says Jerusalem, what is Jerusalem? It's more than a city. For it means to him the church, it means to him the faith ring, it means to him the place where Jesus is crucified, it means a place of pain, it means a place of betrayal, it means a place of crucifixion, it means a place of humiliation and shame. Walking away from our own promises and commitment is what we should be afraid of. As priests, we can never do that. Committed as we can never walk away from sorrow. These sorrows that I have gone through, I felt like leaving, but I cannot. And therefore, the best example I would like to tell you is the two disciples who were walking away back to their homes, to Amos, the road to Amos. They seen the suffering of Christ. They seen all their dreams were shattered. They seen that it's all over. And they found that Jesus has betrayed them. He was the one who was going to show us everything. He's the one who was going to save us. He's the one who was going to bring so many things to reality. Now, it's like lockdown for them. Total lockdown. They were going on a road where it was totally locked. And they were walking depressed. They were not able to understand. What were they doing while they were walking away from Jerusalem? They were walking away from sorrow. They were walking away from their commitment. They said, we will be your disciples. We will come wherever you want. But now, when all this happened, they walked away from sorrow. They walked away from that commitment. And they were doing this out of depression. The depression that they had, what all dreams that they had, is all gone. The only word that John's Gospel says is, we had hoped. What is that hope that they keep in Jesus Christ? The physical liberation, the physical things that they wanted, that they hoped in Jesus, and now they are able to go away. In other words, the sadness that is there made them feel so much terrible that when this gentleman came as a stranger on the road, the sadness and the depression made them not able to recognize Jesus. So you see, when we are committed as priests, we are committed as disciples, true disciples, and when we see the church is going through so much of suffering, we want to walk away from this pain and sorrow. At that time, He will come. As I said, fatherly love is still there with us. And whenever He will come, it is only we who will not recognize Him. Just like how these two disciples were going away to Amos. When Amos, as few of the interpreters speak about in the biblical context, there were a lot of Amoses in the Holy Land. What is Amos? Amos is a Roman SPA, a resort. Rome Emmaus is a place where you can really go and relax. Emmaus is a place where you can really go and have a nice warm bath, steam bath, massage, everything available there. The Romans had this place for the relaxation. And these two disciples were going away from the sorrow and pain to go and get refreshed into that place, and therefore the Lord stops them and says, "Come." And what do they say when they come to their house? "Stay with us, Lord. It is almost over. The night is past." This is how you will come to realize. Therefore, never ever walk away from your commitment. Never ever walk away from your anointed powers that are given to you. And you will know that God is working in you. What is He working? He is working to bring you to the promises, not for the earthly compensations. Amos was an earthly compensation. You are tired of your ministry. You are tired of Easter house blessings. Go to a resort and relax. And that was the earthly compensation to replace the crucified gleams of faith. Now we know very well. The good news is that Jesus finds these fellows on the road and turns around so that, like the disciples, we will actually never get to Amos. We will now go back to Galilee and report what these two disciples did. Well, they went and reported to the other apostles and said, "We met him. He opened our eyes. When he broke bread, we realized he is the Son of God." This is what you and I will see if only we are caught up going away from God. That is the reason, my dear friends, the three important aspects that we need to be. The first one is primacy of God experience. Today, people are looking at us, whether we are God seekers or whether we are material secular seekers. They are looking at us with the third eye or fourth eye or fifth eye, with whatever possible. They will keep some 10 people near your parish and near some gates there to see whether you are a God seeker, whether you are a God realized person. As a committed person, as a committed priest, I must say, yes, I am a God realized person. In other words, as a priest, if I am a God realized person, never will I drop a truth here and walk away. Today I'm speaking truth. And I'm not going to walk away with the truth that I'm dropping here in this talk. I am going to convey this truth in love, also with my people. And I will speak this every Sunday from my pulpit, what Jesus has done to me and how I am a God-realized person. So you need to talk it out that you have experienced God like this. And then only they will know that you are not just on a Sunday sermon through some real truths and discipline. We as priests, we have a bad habit. We give wonderful talks, wonderful preaching. We just throw that and we disappear. But do we do it, that truth in love? Are we able to go and speak to our people after that? It's nice sometimes to go and talk after the Mass to those people. They say, "Father, today your sermon was wonderful." After a little while, ask them, "What did I speak? I forgot. Tell me." Then they will tell you something. And when they tell it really true, and what you told, they put it in verbal, it means a lot for us as priests. It encourages us. So the second aspect is our life should be as a prophetic witness. They expect you to give some suggestions and some guidelines. We need to be prophetic witnesses. What is a prophetic witness? I need to tell them, don't do this, your life will be wonderful. I need to guide them. If I am a good shepherd, I need to guide them. And that is why the visual manifestations that I have, that I am able to visually show Christ to others, I have that experience. Therefore, I am able to. I'd like to tell you one of those beautiful aspects of Prophet Elisha. Prophet Elisha, when he went to that particular town, to a widow in Shunem, there that widow was there. Every time he was coming and going, and this widow said, we should make a room for this man. Made a room for this man, Elisha. Whenever he comes, he will stay there. There's a table, there's a bed, there's a chair given to him. And he is so happy that there is a woman with so much of hospitality. Remember always this in our ministry as well. Like Elisha, when we go out to do our ministry, there will be always someone who is there to give us that hospitality. But we go and enjoy the hospitality and come back? No. What did Elisha do? Elisha wanted to find out and said, tell me what this woman needs actually. What does this woman need? Is she lacking something? And then some of them said, she doesn't have a child. Immediately that day, Elisha comes to that woman and says, listen, next time when I come, you will have a child. This is prophetic witness. This is the blessing that he gives because of the hospitality. This is the blessing that he gives because he promises that this is going to happen to you, and it does happen. That is the reason why, my dear friends, we need to have that prophetic visions. Like, for example, somebody calls, my father is serious, he is on the deathbed. They call you up and then you say, well, I'll pray for you. I'll pray for you. That's not enough. That is not enough. As a priest, what next should I do? No, go and anoint. No, you're not allowed to anoint also. Give them some prayers to tell. I very often say to some of the family members who call me up and say, Father, my dad is on the deathbed. I tell the children, morning, afternoon, night, say the memorare. We know this beautiful prayer of the memorare. Remember, O most gracious Virgin Mary, that will never ever know, who had fled to thy protection, was left unaided, inspiring with a confidence. We fly to her, Virgin of Virgins, Mother. Therefore, this beautiful prayer I tell them to say, morning, afternoon, night. And I tell them this is important. If you say this prayer, your dad will live. 3-4 days after that, they'll call up and say, my dad is out of danger. This is a prophetic gift that you are giving them. And they will also say something very nice. Father, now I know the memorare by heart. I did not see and pray. That is the gift that they want to tell us. Therefore, the second aspect we are is the prophetic witness. The third aspect that is deeper commitment for transformation of the society. That is the radical actions bringing lasting impression on people. Today you need to become deeper committed to transform the society in which we live, because we are a coexisting faith we have. Our religion is a coexisting one. And not only for my community Catholics, and also for others. And therefore I coexist with them. That is why, my dear friends, I will always believe that we have a great prophet, Jeremiah. Jeremiah is another wonderful prophet in the Old Testament. Jeremiah chosen in a very young age, is not happy. He says, no, this is not possible for me. He is always a crying prophet. And amidst of all the fears and attacks of the enemies, the extraordinary power is given to him. Jeremiah does not say, it is because of the grace of God, I have no fear. As priests, remember, it is because of God's great power I celebrate Eucharist, I have no fear. No. Let us learn from Jeremiah. Rather to say, in all my strength, in all my pain, in all my suffering, in all my fears, I sense a greater power of God than all these. Why? Because we come to the New Testament, Jesus Christ says, do not be afraid of the one who is healing the body. Rather be afraid of the one who can do away with your body and soul. Get your fears in right order. If you are frightened of this, if you are frightened of that, if you are frightened of so and so, get those into order. Get your fears prioritized. This I will tackle now, this take wrong, this I will do. Rather, be afraid of the one who is going to kill your body, not your soul. Therefore, get your fears organized. Why? You will say, why, Father, why? There are two types of people in the world. And that is, the first type of people are muscles in their mouth. Who are those muscles in their mouth? They kill the body. Who can, with their mouth, threaten you, terrorize you, scare you, say, I will see the end of you, I will finish you. Speak loud and clear, threaten us. That big mouth people are there in our communities. Remember, you have to say, in all my struggles and all my fears and all my suffering, I sense a greater power of God than all of these who can kill my body, not my soul. That is the first type of people. The second type of people are known as paper tigers. What are these paper tigers that we are afraid of? They threaten and terrorize us because of the literacy. They are well educated. They have the power to write and threaten us. They write about us. They post threats on us. Commonly known within our priest circle is the anonymous letters and fears. One bishop asked me, Father, what is the best way to get rid of all these anonymous letters on priests? I was also affected with anonymous letters. But what did I do? I went and knelt before the Blessed Sacrament that recharges me. Because when anonymous letters come, we are demoralized. These are the paper tigers. They want to threaten us. And if you come before the Blessed God, you go in front of the Blessed Sacrament, kneel down and pray for all these paper tigers. And Bishop Arlappa would say, they are all fools. They have no son of or daughter of. Because they can't write their name. If they have to write their name so and so, son of will not be there, daughter of will not be there. They are not born. If they have anonymous letters writing on us, remember that they have no parents. That they absolutely don't have parents. They are only intelligence that they are able to threaten us, and they are paper tigers. Of all the strength, pain, fears, tension, suffering, I still sense a greater power of God that will always say to me, they can kill only my body, not my soul. I will also take you to the third type of, that is, non-human threats that are there. The non-human threats are like natural calamities. Floods. In my parish, floods. We had 8 feet water in the church. Natural calamities sometimes kill your body, not your soul. So you will also have to say like me, of all the struggles, pains, sufferings, worries and tension, there is greater power of God in me who will save my soul. You may kill my body, natural calamities may kill my body. That is why, my dear friends, remember that each one of us learn from all the saints the fear of God. Learn from all the saints the fear of God. Lastly, as priests, worth and value are two different measures. Worth and value are two different measures. Are you worth Jesus' follower? That is for you to ask and answer. Or are you of great value to be Jesus' follower? I repeat once again for your good memories to always remember this. Are you worth Jesus' follower, or are you of great value to be Jesus' follower? Amen. I'd like to thank once again Bishop Urmila. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for listening to me quite a long time. And it was really so long, but looking at you, I pleased And because of Urmila, he has taught me, and he was my professor. So all this is from there only. And I know all of you, many of you I know. My replica is here in the diocese. You know that? My replica, that is Jerome. Jerome is my replica. His own mother came and told me from behind, she tapped me and said, "Come, Jerome, hindi poda." Jerome, hi, hindi poda. I turned around and I asked, "Who's this lady calling me?" And it was Jerome's mother. And his sister comes and says, "That is Father Alex, your his own mother, Muslim." So we are replicas. And also, my classmate, Father Imran is here. I call him always excellent. And now, in the classroom, in our class, we call him excellent. But nowadays, no excellence in Maran. But he still is an excellent for our class. And I'm also very familiar with Kashipet. I was studying here in Kashipet in the railway school. My dad was a railway employee. He was a loco foreman, and we were staying in the loco foreman Galwa. At that time, Don Malkin was the parish priest. I have quite a lot of memories of Kashipet. We had so much of fun. My mother was in charge of all the bulgur, milk powder, oil. We used to only eat and raw milk powder from our house. But she was the leader of many presidents, she used to distribute all that. So we have good memories about Kashipet. Thank you very much. I wish you all the best in your Christian Mass, and also have a wonderful priesthood. Enjoy your priesthood. God bless you.
Thank you, Father, very much for your thought-provoking, challenging spiritual talk. You have prepared as well for the Chrism Mass and also for the rhythm of Easter. So thank you very much. Let us give him a round of applause. So now we have individual confessions. Father Abraham will be in the chapel. Father Vijay Kumar will be in the guest room. And Father Arogyam Capuchin, Parish Priest of Mulkanur, he will be not Parish Priest, I'm sorry, assisting priest at Mulkanur. So he will be here in the hall. And you are also free to choose your own priest for the confession. And we come back here at 11:45 for the Eucharistic adoration and benediction led by Janagam. Thank you.
Preacher will be there in his room.
Preacher will be in Bishop's house, guest room number 1. He will be available in the Bishop's house.
For confession.
Yeah, for the confessions, Father will be available in the bishop's house in the guest room number 1 in the first floor. Thank you.
Physical auricular confession, no online confession.
నెట్ ఇంకొక లింక్ ఓకే